He woke up to all his furniture rearranged, with the doors locked from inside. If you feel uneasy being alone at night, make sure you're subscribed now, because the next sound you hear in your room might not be what you think it is. The first time the furniture moved, it was just after sunrise. Ethan woke up confused, not scared at first, just disoriented. The light through his blinds felt wrong. The room looked different, but his sleepy mind couldn't understand why. He sat up in bed and froze. His bed was no longer against the east wall. It was pushed to the opposite side of the room, directly under the only window. His desk that usually faced the door was turned sideways. His small dining table was flipped on its side. Even his microwave and coffee maker had been shifted across the counter. Nothing was broken. Nothing was missing. Everything was just rearranged. Ethan stood there in silence, his heart slowly catching up to what his eyes were seeing. He checked the front door first. Still locked. The deadbolt was in place. The chain was hooked. No signs of forced entry. The windows were closed. No broken glass. No footprints. No mess beyond the moved furniture. He laughed it off at first, a nervous laugh. Told himself maybe he had sleepwalked. Maybe he rearranged things during the night and didn't remember. That idea followed him all morning as he left for class. But the thought didn't sit right. He had never sleepwalked. Not once in his life. Ethan was a quiet college student living alone in an off-campus studio apartment, just outside a mid-sized college town in the Midwest. Nothing fancy. Just one room, a small kitchen area, and a narrow bathroom. No roommates. No pets. No one with a spare key. At least, not that he knew of. That night, he barely slept. Every sound made him sit up. Tea, he pipes. Cars outside. His own breathing. Morning came again. And when he opened his eyes, the room looked normal. Everything was back in its usual place. For a moment, he felt relief. Deep relief. Then he noticed the chair. It was turned toward his bed. The chair was closer than he remembered. Ethan stood at the edge of his bed, staring at it. It was the same wooden chair from his small dining table, but now it sat less than 2 feet from where he slept, angled slightly, as if someone had pulled it there and stopped to look at him. He tried to convince himself it meant nothing. Maybe he moved it without thinking. Maybe stress was playing tricks on his memory. Still, he checked the door again. Locked. Chain in place. No sign of entry. That day, he bought a security latch and installed it himself. It wasn't fancy, but once it slid into place at night, the door could only open a few inches. Before going to bed, he stacked his backpack and a small storage bin behind the door, just in case. It felt dramatic, but it helped him sleep. For nearly a week, nothing happened. Life slowly returned to normal. Classes, late meals, long showers. The fear eased into something quieter. Uneasy, but distant. At night, the door stayed shut. The latch stayed in place. The barricade never moved. Each morning, everything looked the same. Until the 7th night. Ethan woke to silence so heavy it felt loud. He lay there, eyes open, waiting for some sound to explain what had pulled him out of sleep. Nothing came. The room smelled faintly of dust and cold air. He sat up. His bed was no longer under the window. It was back against the east wall. His desk faced the door again. His table stood upright. The kitchen counter had been cleared. His appliances lined up neatly. Even his shoes, which he always kicked off carelessly, were placed side by side near the bathroom door. But this time, the scene felt different, orderly, intentional. Ethan rushed to the door. The barricade was still there. The storage bin hadn't moved. His backpack was exactly where he left it. The latch was still secured. The deadbolt hadn't been touched. The pull at the door open and stepped into the hallway. Empty. Quiet. The building was asleep. That morning, his hands shook as he called his landlord. By noon, a maintenance worker arrived and inspected the lock, the hinges, the frame. Everything checked out. No forced entry, no weakness in the door, no explanation. Before leaving for class, Ethan set up an old laptop on his desk, pointed directly at the front door. He left it recording. That night, the room shifted again, and the camera caught something he was never meant to see. Ethan watched the footage alone. It was late afternoon when he finally worked up the nerve to open the video file. He sat at his desk with headphones on, door locked, lights on. The first few hours showed nothing. Just darkness. The faint glow of the hallway light under the door. Shadows shifting as cars passed outside. Then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the image changed. The door handle moved. Not violently. Not like someone forcing it. It turned slowly, carefully, as if whoever was on the other side knew exactly how quiet they needed to be. The latch stopped the door from opening more than a few inches. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then something slid into view through the narrow gap. A hand. Not gloved, not shaking. Just a bare human hand, pale in the dim light, fingers testing the edge of the door as if feeling for space. It withdrew just as slowly as it appeared. The handle turned again. The door went still. The rest of the night passed without movement. Ethan didn't breathe until the video ended. He went to the police that evening with the footage. An officer reviewed it, stone-faced, then asked the same questions over and over. Did anyone have a key? Did he leave doors unlocked? Did he have enemies? The officer said they would patrol the area. He was told to be careful. That was all. For the first time, Ethan packed a small overnight bag. Clothes, his laptop, important papers. He left it by the door in case he needed to leave fast. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat on his bed with the lights on, staring at the door, listening to every sound the building made. Hours passed. Midnight. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Silence held. Then, without warning, the power went out. The room dropped into darkness. The hum of the refrigerator died. The streetlights outside vanished. The hallway light under the door disappeared. And in the pitch-black silence, Ethan heard meething inside his apartment. Not from the door. From behind him. Furniture scraping slowly across the floor. Ethan didn't turn around right away. The sound continued. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Wood dragging across the floor in short bursts. Stop. Then again. Each scrape felt measured, controlled. Like whoever was moving the furniture knew exactly how loud it would be. His phone was on the bed beside him. The screen was black. No signal. No light. The power outage had taken everything with it. He reached for the phone anyway and switched on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness and froze on his desk. It was sliding. Not tipping. Not falling. Sliding across the floor in a straight line, inch by inch, as if pushed by steady hands he couldn't see. His chair moved next, dragged from the corner, and placed directly in front of the desk. Then the table scraped closer to the center of the room. Ethan backed against the wall, holding the light with both hands. His breathing turned shallow. His chest hurt. He shouted once, loud and desperate, but his voice hit the walls and died there. Then the light flickered. One blink of darkness. When it returned, the room was still. All the furniture had stopped moving, and everything was arranged in a perfect semicircle around his bed. The power came back seconds later. The overhead light snapped on. The refrigerator hummed to life. The normal sounds of the world returned like nothing had happened. Ethan ran. He didn't grab his bag, didn't bother unlocking the latch carefully. He ripped it open, burst into the hallway barefoot, and kept running until he reached the street. A neighbor called campus security. Police arrived minutes later. Inside the apartment, they found no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints on the door, no damage to the lock. But when they replayed the laptop recording from that night, the footage was no longer just empty hallway light and quiet hours. At 3:19 a.m., the screen showed the door slowly, eye closing from the inside. No one was in the frame, and 1 second before the power went out, the camera captured a final detail: the latch sliding into place by itself. The video changed everything. Police reviewed the footage frame by frame. The angle was clear enough to show the door, the latch, and the empty space where a person should have been standing. There were no shadows moving across the floor, no reflection in the metal handle, just the latch sliding into place as if pulled by something invisible. At first, officers suspected a camera malfunction, a wiring issue caused by the power outage. But a technician confirmed the laptop and camera were working normally. There were no gaps in the footage, no missing frames. The timestamp was continuous. Ethan never returned to the apartment. Within 2 days, he broke his lease and moved in with a friend. What he didn't know was that the building manager, shaken by what happened, quietly checked old maintenance records tied to that unit. What she found had never been shared with new tenants. 5 years earlier, another student had lived in the same studio. Neighbors had complained about loud scraping sounds at night, furniture moving, chairs dragging. The student told friends he believed someone was entering his apartment while he slept. He had installed 2 extra locks and stacked his belongings behind the door for protection. One morning, the building manager found him unresponsive inside. The report listed the cause as undetermined. After that, the apartment stayed empty for almost a year. Ethan learned this months later from a former tenant who recognized the address when the story spread quietly through online forums. No official statement was ever released. The case never became public news. No follow-up investigation was announced. The apartment was rented again within 6 weeks of Ethan leaving. The new tenant stayed 3 months, then 4 weeks, then 3. Each one left without explanation. As for the footage of the latch moving on its own, police classify it as inconclusive and archived it with the report. Ethan kept a copy. He has never watched it again. He avoids small rooms now, sleeps with the lights on, and refuses to live alone. Because whatever was moving that furniture never forced the door. It never broke in. It was already inside. If this story followed you into the dark, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe before it finds you first.